I wanted to begin our day, maybe not so much with the franticness of all this. It's been crazy, but kind of a celebration. Twitter X, I believe this is where I saw it. Maybe it was Facebook. I don't remember anymore. But Texas A&M Athletics put out on one of the socials, what an April in Aggieland. That was kind of the headline sentence. And it mapped out, here was April in Aggie Athletics. You tell me what you think. But this was the April in Aggieland. This was the April in Aggie Athletics. Baseball won every SEC series. Softball won every home series. Equestrian were the national runner-ups. Football had a program record, and it's the modern draft. 10 players drafted. Men's tennis made their 32nd straight NCAA tournament. Women's tennis won their 5th straight SEC title. Men's golf remains the only school to make match play in every SEC tournament. Women's golf earned a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and track and field set 14 top 10 national marks. That all happened in April in Aggieland. That all happened in April in Aggie Athletics. It's a pretty incredible list. And you know, I always share this infographic stuff, top 10, top 25 rankings, and A&M puts it out. And I think it's an incredible job by them, the way they've started communicating things like that. And I think it helps when you see it every week, all year long. And I think it helps to spread the message, because it's like we know, but you have to be thinking of things actively. But when you see it all the time, you don't have to think that actively. And I see something like this, and you hear something like this, it's hard to, it makes it obvious how the money's working out, how the investments are going, the actual success of Aggie Athletics. I pointed out in the big three, the path things to me appear to be taking in between Elko, the step up in year 2 to 11 wins, college football playoff, and the recruiting, whether it's the portal or high school, that him and his staff are doing, and then the draft as kind of evidence of the work being done. And then Bucky, year 1, that doesn't need me to explain. And then you look at what he did with him and his staff in the first full high school and portal recruiting, and you look at what they've done, and it's top 10, and the names up there with the Dukes and the Purdues and North Carolinas, and you're just like, what the? They got that 3 NBA tier thing, players where Elite 8 and Final 4 teams exist. Not telling you they're going this year. Logan Lee and I will explore that Tuesday at 11:20, by the way. But yeah, and Michael Earley, year 2, they're number 4 in the RPI with 3 weekends left. And then April in Aggieland. Can I read it one more time? Because this got the fist pump. Hell yeah. I wanted to grab a beer, but I didn't have any in the fridge. Baseball won every SEC series. Softball won every home series. Equestrian were the national runners-up. Football had a program 10 record, modern record, 10 players drafted. Even going inside that number, football had a program record 4 offensive linemen drafted in the same draft with Crown over Zune, Armaj Reed, and Chase Basantes. If you want to know how running back you, quarterback you, if in the Mike Elko era, if you want to be known as lineman you, because that was the first offensive line class eligible, they set a program record. For 2 straight drafts, they're pumping out D linemen in the first, second round, all over the draft. So if A&M wants to become line of scrimmage you, I don't know of any higher glory. If linemen everywhere go, if I go to A&M, I'll be drafted in the first round, I'll be drafted in the second round, you're going to be okay. The program is going to do well. Oh, back to April in Aggieland. Men's tennis, 32nd straight NCAA tournament. Women's tennis, 5th straight SEC title. Men's golf, only school to make match play in every SEC tournament. Women's golf earned a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Track and field set 14 top 10 national marks. That was just 1 month, a snapshot. April in Aggieland. Yes, please. Maroon and white notebook, hanging out in it we are. I already mentioned this, but last night, Aggie softball's battling the number one team in the country, OU. Game got suspended due to, it was lightning, and then it was all of it, the weather. And they're going to resume game one. Might be the only thing they get to do today. TBD, to be determined. At 12:40 pregame, 12:50 first pitch here on the Zone, 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM. Watching that game, kind of half breaking my heart, but it was so intense I forgot to cry. Oklahoma scored 5 runs, all unearned. You give Oklahoma a 4-out inning, they're going to score. Both innings they scored, which was 4 in the second, 1 in the fourth. That's 4 plus 1 is the 5 runs. They lead 5-3. All were unearned. All were 4-out innings. All featured an error. And for everything Aggie softball's doing, and watching this Aggie pitching staff get better and better, and they live without a true ace, but well, no, it's not a true ace. They're about good for 2 times through the lineup. They just don't have that ace that throws 6 or 7. I guess to be fair, to say it correctly, they don't have the All-American. How many teams do, though, is a more fair way to state that, probably. But they got pitchers that can go 2 times through. And with the OU staff, you don't have, with the OU offense, which is historically maybe the greatest offense ever in the history of softball, you don't get to make a mistake. I know. There's no margin for error. So every error equaled unearned runs, 5 of them. Man, what A&M actually out-hit them in the game. But the 2 errors, and that's the 18th in SEC play. And if something insane, did the announcer say that was like 40, 50 on the year? That can't be right. I should have looked it up before I even brought it up, but that can't be right. It just hurts where shooting yourself in the foot where you got no toes left. Battling. A&M has lost 10 straight to OU, and they haven't played each other in a long time. But before the break, i.e. A&M left, A&M was stuck playing Oklahoma all the bleeping time. The NCAA kept pairing A&M in the postseason, and yeah, it was such trash. And that was the laziness of how they treat women's sports, where if they can bust, they'd send them, forget the balance of it all. And I forget, I think it was 5 out of 6 postseasons, A&M would get OU in a regional. They'd get paired with them in the supers. And OU's been on this dynasty mode. And forget if A&M was ranked like 25, so they didn't get the host, and OU is 1. There's no way that's a pairing, but women's sports, NCAA committees, they just don't care. Back to Aggie softball today, though. Maya Perez, if you didn't catch it early this week, but Oklahoma has 4 players that are finalists for Player of the Year. Maya Perez, Texas A&M, one of them, and she had a breakout year last year, and now she's broke out again after break. I mean, she's insane, and she's fun to watch. Just an all-around hitter. Something to emphasize. A&M needs at least a win to win the series. Duh, that's the goal. To win all 3 is even the higher goal, but they enter this series 16 RPI, 16. 5th in the SEC, which normally would safely host, but their RPI is 16. And it's some of the early losses in the non-con because their league play has been exceptional. Losing the series to South Carolina, and South Carolina's no slouch. They're 25 in the RPI themselves. They're a top 25 team in ranking, and you're on the road. I mean, there's no shame in it, but they needed to win that series, especially pre-OU, especially, on that. They were 13, 14, 15 already. Now they're 16 in the RPI. It's the borderline. So they need at least 1, OU 6 in the RPI, and probably get a couple in the SEC tournament to lock down hosting a regional. But they're 16 entering this series. It is needed. I'm going to remind you again, programming service announcement, Aggie softball will resume. That game one from last night, there's like an inning and a third or 2/3. Inning and change left. 12:40 pre, 12:50 first pitch, but it's here on the Zone. I think it's the first time we've had Aggie softball on the Zone this year. Over the years, we've had Aggie softball on the Zone many times, but first time this year here on the Zone, 11:50 a.m. and 93.7 FM, on the Zone app, radioagland.com, and you can tell Alexa play Zone 1150. So you got about 1 million options. Tell your friends, tell anyone you know that loves Aggie softball, put it in your community groups, your group chats, whatever you got. Help me spread the word. When we come back, Aggie Baseball Let's talk about it and more. It's the Louie Bellina Show. Man, are we just getting started. It's the Louie Bellina Show Friday on the Zone.
Your home for the Houston Astros is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
The Louie Bellina Show Friday style presented by HC Electric. They have free estimates. They have military and veteran discounts. They're HC Electric. Now, the plan is 11:35. Listen in. A&M baseball head coach Michael Earley met with the media. He'll talk, of course, A&M. He talks Auburn. He talks everything. That's what a media day is. Listen in. Michael Earley, 11:35. High school sports update, 11:56. Thanks to Kelly Bertozer. Bryce Jones. He's going to be on the D4 Land Services hotline this time. Most guests join me on the D4 Land Services hotline. And then 12:40 Aggie softball game 1 resumes here on the Zone. I need to get some of your text messages. Big G and Brian, it's raining sideways. Well, it's supposed to stop long enough to get in the inning and change. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. Don't get me wrong. But the rain stops, and the way these fields and the A&M fields are just phenomenal. The ground crews are phenomenal. They can play, small window, but they just want to get the end of game 1 in. Dale and Tabor, Louie, you sound like Bill Murray telling the Reverend to play on because the heavy stuff won't come down for an hour or so. Growing up, you had the classics. You had Caddyshack, Stripes, Blues Brothers, the classics. Scott Henniger, thanks for the updates. No problem, brother. Hey, how's your world, man? How are you doing? Been a while. I missed that dude. And Greg texted me, if we can do the rest of the world of sports, I hope to get there. One of the great tragedies. The Dallas Stars are trying so hard to be the dynasty that never was. This time they got eliminated in the first round. The Star and the Wild were a Western Conference final matchup. Stars second most points in the regular season, and it added up to nothing. Stars go up 2-1 and lose 3 straight. Look, if you're going to lose 3 straight in a playoff series, you're not a Stanley Cup finalist. You're not a Stanley Cup contending team. You're not a Stanley Cup caliber team. The Wild are great. If the Wild end up playing the Lanch, it's just wrong. But this window, of winning 2-3 cups, of being their own dynasty, they haven't made the Stanley Cup final. So, yeah, there's a lot involved with that. And it might be time to make some changes next season. I don't think there's a one player, one thing change. It's philosophical. They don't play the defense necessary for the Stanley Cup run. I mean, they've been in the Western Conference Final 3 times, so they're just a step short. And they always lose to the teams that do. But there's an urgency factor that they have to be trailing to play with their hair on fire. They never come out and play with their hair on fire. Look at game 1 of this series. That should have clued you in that something was wrong. Stars were eliminated last night, and it was heartbreaking. They didn't play with that fire till they were down again. And then 3-2 game, 6 on the ice, empty net. And maybe it's just the moment, and your captain turns it over so that they get the empty netter to end the series, end the season. Heartbreak, your captain just turns it over. Star season over. I said we were going to talk some Aggie baseball. Weather permitting, we got game 1 tonight, 5:45 pregame. Another game on the Zone app, radioagland.com. Tell Alexa play Zone 1150. Same weekend series that Sadeo would go tonight. Aiden Sims tomorrow. Sunday's at TBA. 3 pitchers you need 6 innings from. And it's kind of Moss. I say Cunningham. Lions. All hands on deck kind of thing. Number 7 A&M. Number 8 Auburn. Okay, I decided I'm all about the RPI now. To host or not to host. And for A&M, it's not a regional, it's a super. A&M is up to 4. RPI is just moving up as A&M sleeping at night. A&M is now 4 in the RPI. Auburn's 5, if you were wondering. A&M is 4 in the RPI. Auburn is 5. 7 in the polls, 8 in the polls. This is the best, toughest, call it what you want, matchup since Texas. Second best, toughest matchup of the entire season. This is why we're fans. This is the let's go kind of weekend. And weather's trying to screw it all up. Andres Alvarez, right-hander, 7-2 on the season, ERA of 2.22, 69 strikeouts and 52 2/3. He has the most strikeouts of any pitcher. Well, no. Okay, this is the thing that's interesting. The two highest strikeout pitchers of the weekend both belong to Auburn. I'm really into strikeout rate. The only way I think you can get to the A&M offense is a high strikeout rate, the swing and miss rate, which sounds like duh, but there aren't many of them. And the two highest strikeout rate pitchers both belong to Auburn. Their Saturday guy, Jake Marciano, has an ERA of 2.04. He has 82 Ks in 61 2/3. He's far and away the highest strikeout rate pitcher. The only way to stop A&M's offense is the non-productive, no contact, inning killer type things. And there's just not many of those pitchers in reality anymore. So a phenomenal challenge ahead. But every time we've said that, the A&M offense has come up and put up 8 and 10, and they destroyed the Texas pitching staff when they had that challenge ahead. And Florida, sure, the Friday night Florida starter, who will be 1 or 2, no worse than 3 when the voting comes through for SEC Pitcher of the Year. But then A&M managed, scored, beat the rest of the Florida pitching staff, and that was the challenge. So A&M has been more than up to. But the Friday starter for Auburn, 2.22, 69 Ks and 52 2/3. The Saturday, Jake Marciano, 2.04 with 82. You know what the Sunday starter is? Alex Petrovic, 2.83. He has the highest ERA of all 3 starters for Auburn at 2.83. Haven't seen a pitching staff like that all year. And the A&M offense has answered the bell every time. Call me a little fired up to see how this plays out. And you'll hear all the games, whenever, however, weather, whatever, all weekend long here on The Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Caden Sorrell hit a couple of bombs on Tuesday. Now has 43 for his career. He's tied for 5th at 43. Here is the chase, the 4 people in front of Caden Sorrell. John Bye-Bye Byington has 47 in 4th. Scott Livingstone has 50 in 3rd. Dalen Holt has 56 home runs in 2nd. And Jace Lavalette, 68 homers in 1st. And we all remember Jace was 1st, but I just didn't remember him being 12 clear of 2nd, like having that large of a gap. So Caden Sorrell tied for 5th all time. Gavin is 9th at 39. So 2 players currently, in that lineup every day, every weekend on this year's team are in the top 10 all-time career home run list for Aggie Baseball. I'm going to grab an early quick timeout. That way we can come out and have our Aggie Baseball listen and A&M head coach Michael Earley, see if we can get a player in too. Aggie Baseball, number 4 in the RPI versus number 5, number 7 in the poll versus number 8, A&M Auburn. Tonight, game 1, I'll just throw in the weather permitting. This is the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. That's CC Electric. Friday on The Zone.
This is Brazos Valley's home for Texags Live. Louis and Jim, The Zone. 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
I had to play some Prince today. Yesterday we had no Louis Bellina Show because we had the Astros doubleheader, right? Which meant no Rusty Burson. That's heartbreaking. And no Cedric Golden. So if we got no Cedric Golden, I had to do some Prince today in memory of. Cedric will be back next Thursday, I hope. Time now. Oh, by the way, this is the Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio, Friday style. Time now. Aggie Baseball listening. Here's the head coach. We always kick it off right at the top. A&M Baseball head coach Michael Earley met with the media yesterday. This is what he had to say.
Coach, y'all won 9 out of 10. What's been the big reason that A&M has won that many games heading into the stretch?
We've just played consistent baseball for the most part, and whenever one side has lacked, the other one, fortunately for us on those days, has picked it up. Which you can never plan for or account for. You just want to try to play your best at every spot of the game, and there's been games where it's all clicked and we've played really well. So it's just complimentary baseball whether we need to win by offense, defense, pitching, we've gotten pretty consistent in those facets of the game, including base running, that just you want to be good at many parts, and we've, for the most part, have been.
Is it a little more exciting as a hitting coach with the hitting life that you have to go up against the kind of pitching staff that they have and have that kind of matchup, offensive pitching matchup?
You mean have some decent players, so you feel good about it? Yeah. I mean, it's having really good players will make a hell of a coach out of a lot of people. So it's definitely a luxury on both sides of the ball to have some really talented guys, but also bought into an approach and a plan. And these guys have just done a great job. They're out there doing it. They're out there executing. Hitting is a lot harder than people think, especially when you're in the box, and especially how the game is today and the different types of pitches. So yeah, definitely we got some really talented players, and we're really fortunate to have them. And but at the same time, Auburn has just as talented players, and every weekend in the SEC. So it's not about the talent level; it's about execution and playing pitch to pitch.
Auburn's pitching staff really right-handed, similar to what you saw from Florida. So, what can you take from last weekend's series to help you face yet another elite pitching staff? Yeah,
I mean, they're right-handed, we're right-handed. I mean, that's just what it is, right? We don't have as many left-handed hitters. I think matchups can come into a play, but if you're going to be one-sided, I guess, if you are, which we're not completely. We're going to have 3 lefties in the lineup at least, and right-handers grow up facing right-handers way more than lefties face lefties. It's just what it is. But just a really good pitching staff, right? And we've been tested, right? We've faced some left-handed teams, right-handed teams. In the end, the ball has to cross the plate, and you must hit a strike and hit it hard. So try not to make too much of it. But they are really good. I mean, I say it every weekend. I'm like, they might be the best. They might be the best. I don't know, right? It's not for me to judge. It's just every weekend when I go to prepare for these guys, it's just like, geez, it just never stops, right? That's life in the SEC. And these guys, if you look at pure statistics, believe they're the best at not walking people, throwing strikes, limiting damage. Just a very, very complete pitching staff, whether it be right-handed or left-handed. Those guys get the job done for sure.
Is there a game or a series or even a week maybe you can point back to where you feel like your team really found itself and formed that identity that it's been able to carry through?
I can't, and I think wins and losses for people outside the building, which understandably may point to that, I feel like we set that foundation in the fall. I really did, and this season when we lost some games early on, I always left, as weird as it sounds, more encouraged than discouraged, because I always felt like, all right, if we just play better, we're good enough to beat who we just lost to, period, right? It's not like out-skilled, out-willed, we just didn't play great baseball that day, or maybe the other team just played better. So I don't have a series to point to. I just think it's a body of work and a collection of a group of guys that have bonded together at a high level early. And being a close team is great. You still have to be good. You still have to play good. And they've done that from day one, and they've made the adjustments. And so, no, I can't directly point to a single game. I just think it's a body of work, and these guys just every day embracing the monotony of being a good player, and that's just routine-based stuff and doing, the common things uncommonly well.
When y'all played Auburn last year in the SEC tournament, obviously y'all won that game. What's kind of been like the biggest improvement that you've seen from last year from this year on their side?
I mean, they were good. They had young guys playing, and we want to be like that in the future, right? We want our freshmen to develop into what they develop into, and they played some freshmen last year, and they always have good arms, and they still have good arms. So I think they're just, with those guys returning, they're they were really good last year, so I want to say a better version. They're just a really good baseball team that's really well coached.
What part of Aiden's performances this year has maybe surprised you the most, or stood out at least to you the most?
Just the ability the role he had last year, very limited. He pitched a lot on Wednesdays, you know what I mean? And he his outings last year were, they were just fine, right? I think just the ability to step into that weekend rotation and be a guy and be one of the best pitchers in the SEC. I think that's a credit to him and the coaching staff that he works with to get him to this point. But, mostly to him, to having the belief in himself to be what he was last year as a freshman, which is pretty typical, especially on the mound in this league, and for him to believe that he can do it. And there's a lot of guys that are talented in the SEC. You see you'll see some freshmen come into games, whether the game's out of hand one way or another, and you're like, look at this guy, look at that guy. But I think Aiden's ability to believe in himself and be comfortable in his own skin and know he belongs, that's a huge, huge part of the reason why he's had so much success this year.
See the hat you're wearing. Just what do you hope this weekend means for what y'all are doing with the Massey Foundation, and just why that's a cause that is dear to your heart?
Yeah, so I mean, you see it. I believe it's like the 8th inning, maybe every game it pops up on the scoreboard. That's just the foundation that I'm working with as part of the university allows me to do, which is super grateful for that. And then just a family that we're close to. Mark was an awesome kid, really good friend of my son, classmate, rode bikes together, something that hit close to home, and we've become, close with Brian and Allie, and they're just phenomenal people, right? And, what they're going through, their choice was they want to help other families, right? And they want to, eventually put a stop to any other families having to go through this. So I'm just proud to be a part of it. I'm glad they let me be a part of it. And yeah, it's just, it's a great thing by great people, both Aggie graduates, just people that are, just living here in this community. Like, you meet so many good people, and they're just 2 of them, and they went through some stuff, and we just want to be there for them and now support them as they're moving this forward. And it'll be something that'll be synonymous with A&M baseball, and I hope it will continue to grow and get bigger, and we want to eventually, stop this thing so other families don't have to go through it.
What do you remember most about Mark, and just maybe the friend he was to your son?
Yeah, I mean, when you got kids, I don't know how many of you guys have kids, but you want them to hang around good people. And that was always my impression of him. Like, you just like, oh, that kid's a good kid, right? And, I only interacted with him a few times. I don't really hang out with Marshall and his friends when they're around each other, but he doesn't want that even when they were 10 years old. But just a great kid, and someone that he enjoyed being around. And when you have kids and they love someone, you kind of fall into that too, and you just care for them, because when your son or your kids or anyone cares for someone, that holds a special place in your heart.
What have you seen from Weston his last 2 outings, and just the way he's pitched those last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I thought he's done well, right? He's given us a chance to win, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if he's come out in the 4th or the 5th in both, or the 5th in one, but to that point, he did really well. So if a guy can get you into the 7th, awesome. But wherever a guy gets you to, you want him to do well. Maybe it's the 2nd, maybe it's the 3rd. He's put us in a spot in those games early on where we're not, to the best of my memory, we're not chasing, or it's not out of hand. So he's definitely, as you can see, taken a step forward, and I still think there's another gear for him to maybe get a little further. But for now, I love the job he's doing and the way he's competing and throwing strikes.
When you look back at the Texas series, you had, all these different coaches, Bucky, all the different coaches. I mean, you look at all the different sports, coaches are showing up for all kinds of different sports. What is it about? That hasn't always been a thing here. What is it about it now that, these coaches y'all seem to have a pretty tight fraternity?
Yeah, it's pretty cool what Trev's been able to do, just the communication. And, we have head coaches meetings where it's all the head coaches. We just had one a few days ago, and just the transparency that, Trev's the leader of this athletic department, and he's just done a phenomenal job on the communication part, putting us all in the same room. We're all on the same page. In the end, we all work for Texas A&M, so we all want to have the same message as far as how it goes to the university, athletic department, all of that. And when you're around those people and you get to hear them speak, you get to see how cool it is, other head coaches, other perspectives. Just some extremely highly intelligent people in there, and I'm not saying I'm one of them, but I've got to learn from some of those guys. I remember the first time I got to hear Coach Elko speak, I was like, wow, super impressive, right? Just he's a football coach, right? But that's a highly, highly intelligent person, and that's for every guy. Trisha's awesome, all of them, and they're just cool, right? They in this job, you don't have a lot of, there's not a ton of relatable people. It just is what it is, comes with the territory. So for Trev to be able to facilitate that and make it important has made everyone feel like it's important. So I just think he's done a really good job of keeping us together and putting us in the same room. And again, we're all fighting for the same goal. We all want to win a national championship for Texas A&M. A few programs have, and we want some more to do it.
I know you're a big Apple weather guy, so so I'm not asking you for a forecast.
Yeah.
But what's the process going to look like to
Hold on, let
make
me-
a decision this weekend, and then how could that potentially impact your pitching?
I can feel Max Crawford crashing.
I'm trying. Is he? Yeah, Max. He don't like Apple, I'm sure. They got all their gadgets, right? So. Yeah, I can't forecast anything. If I'm a weatherman, I'll just stay on the fence, right? It could rain, it could not. And I'll always be right. So that's where I'm at with that one. Other than that, from a pitching standpoint, yeah, I mean, anytime if you potentially have to play 2 games in one day, it can change things. But you can't think of it like that. You just got to play the game. It's just like when we played, you never know what's going to happen. Like I remember we played Vanderbilt, our doubleheader this year, after the Friday game. JK's in there mapping out all these scenarios. You always look worst case, like this, map out the innings if you can. And then the game always makes another decision, and it never. So you just got to play each game to play each game. You got to win when you can win, just like you would any other day.
And we obviously didn't see him play on Tuesday, but how's Chris after running into Jorian last weekend?
Yeah, I mean he seems a lot better to me. I actually saw him today. He looks like he's moving around. He moved around a lot better yesterday. He actually even got he had to have a root canal from when he got hit in the face, and he was, again, I can't speak on the kid's toughness enough. Like he was in the cage hitting. I've never had a root canal. I've heard it's not a great experience, but I would, be highly likely that he plays. I can't foresee him not, but I haven't seen him move around today yet.
What was the biggest issue with him after Sunday?
He just got hit in that bone really hard. We got an X-ray to rule out a fracture, which he did not have, and it's just I don't know how you would feel, but if Jorian Wilson ran into me at full speed, I'd be sitting down doing this press conference. So I think that was part of it. Like a guy got hit by a defensive end, full speed, right in the bone. So and bones are bones, right? You can't inject him or make him feel better, but he's on some medicine. He's been getting treatment. They've been doing a good job with him.
That was our listening. Michael Earley, A&M baseball head coach, met with the media yesterday. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Look, it's an abbreviated, not by much, abbreviated edition of the Louis Bellino Show, presented by CC Electric. At 12:40 pregame, 12:50 first pitch, Aggie softball will resume their game against OU from last night. There's like an inning in change remaining. 5-3 OU leads. Aggies got something cooking, plenty of time to rally. A&M 16 in the RPI in softball. They need the dub. They need the dub. They need the dub. And with the weather for the rest of the day, that might be the only Diamond Sport game that gets in is an inning in change. Don't know if baseball, softball play tonight. We'll keep you updated. This is a really good time for me to help you. The Zone, Brian Broadcasting, we try really, really, really hard to communicate. When something happens, our Twitter account, Twitter X, is Zone1150, at Zone1150. We put it on there. We have a Facebook page, and I know not everyone uses Facebook, but if you do, we put it on our Facebook page, which is Zone1150. My Twitter X, which I try and communicate to, is Louis B. 1150, LOUIEB 1150. So we try and share. When we have to move things stations, like Astros are on Willie, not the Zone, thanks to Kelly Berdozer, we put it out there. The best example is Aggie softball. Normally it's on Willie 1550, but we've had Navasota High School playoffs, and that's on Willie 1550 because that's actually a Navasota station, but the signal's so good, we could put A&M Sports on there, and you could hear it in town, and it's a perfect setup. They're part of our flagship. But this weekend, we had to move Aggie softball off of Willie. We told you about it. It's on Maverick. But today, because it's this bizarre 1 hour broadcast in the middle of the day, put it on the Zone. We're your sports station. Let's go. We're part of the flagship network of Aggie Athletics. We've been telling you, it's all over the social. So you can follow the Zone, Twitter X, at Zone1150. Follow, I guess it's like the Zone Facebook page. You get all the alerts. And on Facebook, we're Zone1150. And my Twitter X is Louis B 1150, LOUIB. and you would know all this, and you could stay in the know. And that's all the A&M Sports. We're the flagship for Aggie Athletics. It's not just Aggie softball. It's Aggie Baseball and Aggie Basketball, men and women's. And it's Aggie Football. And it's the A&M Coaches Show. Got you back. When we come back, done. We got to wrap up our first hour together. 11:55, 11:56, high school sports update. Thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer.
Home on the road or Omaha. You can hear Aggie Baseball on the Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Low cost, full service, best of all local. That is Schwab. That is Charles Schwab. Best of all local, that's Mark Sim. He's our local Charles Schwab branch. You can find him online at schwab.com/College Station. Charles Schwab and Company Incorporated, member SIPC. We're going to end our first hour together inside the lifestyles portion of the Louis Bellina Show. I like to look at this day, and it's kind of in history. This day, May 1st, we have started a new month. It was 35 years ago, and the year was 1941. And it is sports, by the way. Have you ever heard of Nolan Ryan? Well, in 1991, May 1st of 1991, at the age of 44, this Nolan Ryan fella threw his seventh no-hitter. The Rangers shut out the Blue Jays 3-0. Nolan Ryan threw his seventh no-hitter. Now, on May 1st, 1991, the exact same night in Oakland, Rickey Henderson, one of the more unique characters in the history of baseball, stole his 939th base, and that broke Lou Brock's all-time record. So May 1st of 1991, 35 years ago, is about as historic as it will ever get. That's pretty awesome. Now, there's other little things, like in 2015, May 1st, Avengers Age of Ultron was released. Not sure if that was a good thing. 10 years ago, in 2016, May 1st, 2016, HBO revealed the fate of Jon Snow on Game of Thrones in the second episode of the 6th season. Okay. The month of May is upon us. We are quickly marching towards the summer. Here are things to look forward to in the month of May. The NBA and NHL playoffs continue. Not for me. The NBA is dead to me. Stars were eliminated in the first round. You know, they say winter is coming. It'll be a cold winter for me. Kentucky Derby is tomorrow. Preakness on May 16th. The PGA Championship starts May 14th for the tennis fans out there. The French Open is on May 18th. And the Indy 500 is May 24th. May is a phenomenal sports month. Do you like movies? The Devil Wears Prada 2. My producer, Jeanette, told me she pre-ordered her tickets for The Devil Wears Prada 2. I already have my tickets for Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu movie. That's not a lie. Me and my best friend, Casey 18-Wheeler, we can't wait to go. There's other movies, Iron Man. It's Iron Maiden, Burning
shoes.
Ambition.
Look at my shoes.
Yep. She's got her Devil Wears Prada 2 shoes on. She bought the merch for the movie. Animal Farm. Oh, Mortal Kombat 2. Holy cow, how do I not have my tickets for that? It's because I have the Star Wars Grogu movie tickets. Also in the month of May, things to look forward to. If you're a Yellowstone fan, you know there's 22 spinoffs, right? Another one is coming upon us. Dutton Ranch on Paramount Plus at May 15th. I've lost track. The Academy of Country Music Awards are on Prime Video on May 17th. The American Music Awards on CBS and Paramount Plus on the 25th. Finally, here are the holidays that we will celebrate in the month of May. Cinco de Mayo. What date is Cinco de Mayo, Jeanette? It's one of my favorite holidays. We have Mother's Day on the 10th, Memorial Day on the 25th, Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you. National Teachers Day is on the 5th, Armed Forces Day on the 16th, and National Hamburger Day is May 28th. That's things to look forward to in the month of May.